What if I told you, your microwave might be making someone you love sick? I know. Sounds dramatic. But stick with me. Because if you're like most people, you've probably done this 100 times, maybe even today. You open the fridge, spot last night's dinner, maybe it's spinach, maybe it's some leftover chicken, and without thinking twice, you throw it in the microwave, hit 2 minutes, and call it a day. No harm, right? But here's the thing. For seniors, reheating the wrong food isn't just a harmless shortcut. It can be dangerous. And I'm not talking about burnt edges or a soggy plate, I mean real risks, food poisoning, digestive issues, even hospitalization. Because as we age, the body changes. The immune system isn't as tough. Digestion slows. The stomach becomes more sensitive. And something that might have been fine at 35, could be risky at 75. Here's the part that might surprise you. Not all leftovers are bad. In fact, there are certain foods seniors should reheat, because doing so actually makes them safer and easier to digest, but others. You'd be better off tossing them than taking that chance. And chances are, one of those foods is in your fridge right now. Something you've been reheating for years without a second thought. Something that could be quietly doing more harm than good. So in today's video, we're breaking it all down, for foods seniors should never reheat. And why they can turn toxic when you do 4 foods that are better when you reheat them the right way, and how they can actually help digestion and improve safety will go one by one, bad, then good, so you know exactly what's safe and what's not. And hey, if you've ever stared at a container of leftovers and thought, is this still okay? You're not alone. Comment below with the words, safe plate, if you've ever questioned your reheating routine. And be sure to subscribe to ElderTalks Daily. Because caring for seniors starts with simple things, like knowing what to serve, and what to skip. Let's make every meal a little safer. Starting now. Let's start with a food most people consider a nutritional hero. Spinach. It's in your smoothies, your omelets, your pasta bowls, it's a leafy green that's been praised for decades. But for seniors, reheating spinach can be quietly dangerous. Take Ms. Lillian, for example. She's 80. Still sharp, still active. The kind of woman who believes in eating healthy and staying independent. One night, she made a beautiful spinach pasta. Light olive oil, garlic, fresh greens. Delicious. She put the leftovers in the fridge like anyone would. The next afternoon, she reheated it for lunch. Nothing fancy, just a quick minute in the microwave. By evening, she was nauseous. Dizzy. Off balance. Her daughter rushed over, thinking it was a stroke. But after a hospital visit and some tests, it was food poisoning. Linked to nitrate conversion from reheated spinach. You see, spinach is naturally rich in nitrates, a good thing when it's fresh. But once cooked and cooled, those nitrates begin to break down. And if you reheat it, they convert into nitrites, a compound that can become toxic, especially in aging bodies with slower digestion and more sensitive systems. And here's the scary part, it doesn't smell bad. It doesn't taste off. You'd never know. That's the mistake most people make. It's just greens. It's healthy. Yes, when fresh. But reheated? You could be feeding your loved one a chemical cocktail instead of a superfood. So what's the safer choice? If you cook spinach, eat it warm the first time. If you have leftovers, use them cold, like in a salad or a wrap. But if it's already been cooked once, don't microwave it again. It's not worth the risk. Now let's flip the script. Here's a food that's often feared, but in reality, it's safer when handled properly. Rice. Now you've probably heard this myth before, leftover rice is dangerous. Don't ever reheat it. But that's only half the story. Meet Mr. Calvin. He's 76, lives alone, and loves making big batches of food so he doesn't have to cook every day. One of his staples: white rice. Sometimes jasmine. Sometimes brown. Always easy to store. But he used to toss it out after day one, because someone once told him, old rice is toxic. Then one day, his doctor cleared it up. The problem with rice isn't the rice itself, it's how people store and reheat it. Rice is a high-risk food only if it's left sitting out too long. Why? Because it can develop Bacillus cereus, a bacteria that survives cooking and grows when rice cools slowly on the counter. But here's the good news: if you refrigerate it quickly, within an hour, and then reheat it thoroughly, you destroy the bacteria before it ever becomes a threat. That's what Mr. Calvin started doing. He'd portion his rice, refrigerate it fast, and reheat it until it was steaming hot, not just lukewarm. And just like that, his meals stayed safe. No food poisoning. No waste. No fear. The mistake many people make is half reheating rice. They let it sit in the microwave until it's warm around the edges but still cool in the center. That's the danger zone. That's when bacteria thrive. So here's the rule: reheat rice properly. Make sure it's hot all the way through. No cold spots. No shortcuts. Done right? Rice is one of the best and easiest staples for a senior-friendly diet. Now, eggs. They seem so innocent, don't they? Scrambled, hard-boiled, in a casserole, eggs are in everything. They're soft, easy to chew, full of protein, and a go-to meal for older adults everywhere. But when it comes to reheating, they quietly become one of the worst offenders. Let me tell you about Mr. James. He's 81. Lives with his grandson. Every morning, James makes a big breakfast. Scrambled eggs, toast, sometimes a little turkey sausage. And whatever's left, he saves for the next day. But a few weeks ago, something changed. He reheated yesterday's eggs in the microwave, ate them without thinking, and by afternoon, he felt heavy. Bloated. Uncomfortable. His grandson noticed he was moving slower, rubbing his stomach, even getting lightheaded. Turns out, the eggs were the issue. When you reheat eggs, especially in the microwave, the protein structure breaks down. It changes. And what your body once processed easily now becomes harder to digest. In some cases, even toxic. And for a senior digestive system that's already working at a slower pace, that's a recipe for discomfort, inflammation, and food sensitivity. The worst part? You don't smell it. You don't see it. Eggs still look fine. Still smell okay. But inside, they've changed, and not for the better. The common mistake is assuming that if something is fully cooked once, it's always safe. But eggs are delicate. Their chemical makeup shifts quickly under heat. So what should you do? Cook eggs fresh when possible. If you do have leftovers, skip the microwave. Try eating them cold, like sliced boiled eggs on toast or in a salad. But reheating scrambled or fried eggs? That's a risk not worth taking. Now let's move to something hearty. Comforting. Packed with protein and fiber. Beans and lentils. Now I know what you might be thinking: beans. They cause gas. They're heavy. And for some folks, that's true. When they're not cooked or reheated the right way. But here's where it gets interesting: for seniors, properly reheated beans are actually better for digestion. Take Ms. Ruth. She's 77. Loves her kitchen, but her energy isn't what it used to be. So once a week, she makes a big pot of lentil soup. She freezes half. Stores the rest in the fridge. And every day, she heats a small bowl for lunch. Before she started doing this, beans gave her trouble. Bloating. Gas. Cramps. But once she started reheating them gently and thoroughly, everything changed. Here's why. Beans and lentils contain complex fibers and starches, things like oligosaccharides, that are tough to break down. But reheating them? That softens the structure. It reduces the compounds that cause bloating, making them easier on your stomach and less likely to trigger discomfort. Especially for seniors with slower digestion or sensitive intestines, warm beans are far better than cold ones. The mistake? Serving them straight from the fridge. Cold beans might taste okay in a salad, but for a senior stomach, that's a challenge. So here's the simple advice: add a splash of water or broth. Reheat your beans slowly on the stove or gently in the microwave. Bring them to a nice, even warmth, nothing rushed or scorched. And what you'll get? A meal that's filling, comforting, protein-rich, and most importantly, digestive-friendly for older adults. Now let's talk about something that feels like it should be safe. Potatoes. Mashed, baked, roasted, potatoes are the backbone of comfort food. They're soft, filling, and often show up on senior plates for good reason. But if there's one leftover that turns from safe to silently dangerous, it's this one. Let me share what happened to Mr. George. He's 79, widowed, and lives a quiet life. Makes all his meals, keeps a clean kitchen. One night, he baked a potato, wrapped it in foil, ate half, and left the rest on the counter overnight. Next morning, he unwrapped it, popped it in the microwave, and called it breakfast. By late afternoon, stomach cramps, sweats, weakness. He thought it was just fatigue. But it was food poisoning, from a baked potato. How? Here's what most people don't know: when you cook potatoes and leave them out too long, especially in foil, you create the perfect environment for Clostridium botulinum, a bacteria that thrives in warm, low-oxygen spaces. And reheating it doesn't always kill it. Microwaves heat unevenly, and that little foil-wrapped spud, it might still be harboring dangerous toxins deep inside. And the sad part? It doesn't taste bad. There's no smell. Just an ordinary potato with an invisible threat. That's the mistake, assuming, if it looks okay, it is okay. But with potatoes, you need to be extra careful. So here's what you do: if you're going to save a cooked potato, get it into the fridge within 1 hour. Unwrap the foil. Store it in a sealed container. And when you reheat, do it thoroughly, until it's steaming hot all the way through. If it sat out overnight, don't risk it. Throw it away. With seniors, even mild food poisoning can cause major setbacks. One bad meal can lead to dehydration, weakness, even a hospital stay. It's just not worth it. Now on the brighter side, let's talk about one of the most healing, senior-friendly meals of all time. Soup. Whether it's chicken noodle, lentil, vegetable, or bone broth, soup is more than comfort food. It's hydration, nutrition, and warmth, all in one bowl. Take Ms. Teresa. She's 83. Lives with arthritis, and some days, chewing can feel like a chore. But every evening, her daughter brings her a warm bowl of homemade soup. Not only does it soothe her stomach, it boosts her appetite, lifts her mood, and keeps her hydrated without even realizing it. And the best part? Soup stores beautifully. And when reheated properly, it's safer than almost any leftover out there. Why? Because soups are liquid-based. That means they reheat evenly, which lowers the risk of cold spots where bacteria might survive. And when you bring soup back to a gentle boil or strong simmer, you're actively killing off any unwanted germs that might have crept in during storage. That's why, for seniors, warm soup isn't just safe, it's ideal. Now, the common mistake. People often microwave soup until it's warmish. A little steam on top, but cold underneath. And that's not enough. You want it hot throughout. Simmer it on the stove if you can, or stir frequently when microwaving to avoid hot and cold zones. Do that, and you've got a go-to meal that checks every box: easy to eat, easy to digest, easy to reheat. So if you're looking for something that's both safe and soothing for your loved one, make soup your friend. Chicken. It's the centerpiece of so many meals: grilled, roasted, stewed. It's lean, full of protein, and a favorite in nearly every senior household. But when it comes to reheating chicken, especially in the microwave, that's where things get risky. Let me walk you through what happened to Mr. Frank. He's 84, lives with his niece, and they do their best to plan meals in advance. One evening, they had roasted chicken with vegetables, perfectly cooked, juicy, delicious. The next day, Mr. Frank decided to help himself to the leftovers while his niece was out. He threw the chicken in the microwave, gave it a quick spin, and ate it without a second thought. By nightfall, he was pale, nauseous, and holding his stomach. What went wrong? Uneven heating. Chicken is dense. When you reheat it in a microwave, the outer edges might get hot, but the inside? Still cool. And cool, moist chicken is a breeding ground for bacteria like Salmonella or Listeria. Reheating doesn't just need heat, it needs consistent, even heat all the way through. Microwaves just don't cut it for that kind of job, especially not with chicken. Another problem? Reheated chicken changes texture and protein structure. It becomes tougher to digest, something many seniors already struggle with. And here's the real danger: people assume that if something's hot to the touch, it's safe. But one bite of underheated chicken, especially for someone with a weakened immune system, can lead to serious illness. So what's the better approach? If you must reheat chicken, avoid the microwave. Instead, use the stovetop or oven. Heat it slowly, evenly, and thoroughly, until the inside is steaming and there's no pink or cold left at all. And if you're ever unsure, it's okay to let it go. With seniors, prevention always beats recovery. 4. Must reheat. Oatmeal now for something softer, gentler, and surprisingly powerful. Oatmeal. It's humble, but don't underestimate it. Ms. Evelyn eats it every morning, without fail. She makes a big batch on Sunday, stores it in small containers, and reheats it each day with a little milk and cinnamon. She says it keeps her regular, keeps her full, and more importantly, keeps her calm. And she's not wrong. Oats are full of soluble fiber, which helps manage cholesterol, blood sugar, and digestion. And when reheated, that fiber becomes even easier to absorb. Here's why oatmeal is one of the safest and most senior-friendly foods to reheat. It's moist, so it heats evenly, no cold spots. It doesn't grow bacteria easily when stored in the fridge. And reheating actually softens it more, making it gentler on aging teeth and sensitive stomachs. The mistake some folks make is tossing it out, thinking leftovers are old or stale. But oatmeal? It's the exact opposite. With just a splash of milk or water, it springs right back to life. So if you're looking for a warm, filling, heart-healthy breakfast for someone you love, or for yourself, oatmeal is a go-to. And it only gets better when reheated right. It's simple. It's comforting. And for seniors, it's one of the safest bets you can make. Sometimes, it's the little things that carry the biggest weight. We spend so much time worrying about doctor appointments, medications, blood pressure readings, that we forget how powerful the everyday decisions are. Like what goes on a plate. Or what gets put back in the fridge. Or what ends up in the microwave the next day. But here's the truth, for seniors, even the smallest misstep in the kitchen can have serious consequences. And that's not meant to scare you. It's meant to empower you. Because now you know better. You know that spinach, eggs, potatoes, and chicken, as common and harmless as they seem, can become health risks when reheated. You know they break down in ways that the body, especially an aging body, just can't handle the same way anymore. But you also know there's comfort on the other side. That rice, beans, soup, and oatmeal, when handled right, are more than just leftovers. They're nourishment. They're safety. They're a way to care, quietly, consistently, without needing fanfare. This isn't about throwing out everything in your fridge or fearing every bite. It's about awareness. It's about being one step ahead, so your loved one doesn't fall one step behind. Because every bite is a chance to do it right. You don't need to cook like a chef or be a nutritionist. You just need to know the difference between what can be saved, and what needs to be let go. And if no one's told you this today, let me be the one. You're doing a beautiful job. Caring for someone you love, especially as they age, is not easy. It takes patience, vigilance, and so much quiet love. And just by watching this video, by taking time to learn, you're already making a difference. One safe plate at a time. So let's take a quick breath, and a quick recap. Today, you learned that spinach, eggs, potatoes, and chicken, as ordinary as they seem, should never be reheated for seniors. And on the flip side, rice, beans, soup, and oatmeal aren't just safe to reheat. They're even better that way, when handled properly. It's a small shift in your kitchen, but a powerful one for your peace of mind. And for the health of someone who depends on you more than they'll ever say. Now I want to hear from you. Which one of these surprised you the most? Was there something you've been reheating for years without knowing the risks? Or maybe a food you've always avoided, but now realize might be safe and even beneficial? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. Because here on ElderTalks Daily, this isn't just a channel, it's a community. A place where we learn together, grow together, and protect our loved ones together. If this video helped you even a little, tap that like button. It tells the algorithm that this content matters, and it helps us reach more families who need it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to ElderTalks Daily. We release practical, heart-centered content every week. Tips you can trust, shared with warmth, wisdom, and no judgment. So whether you're a caregiver, a grandchild, or just someone trying to age well with grace and good sense, this is your space. Thank you for spending this time with me. Stay kind. Stay curious. And stay caring. I'll see you in the next video.